For a goalkeeper, great pair of hands, tremendous courage, what more can you ask? And still our number one.
They say that life begins at 40. Is there any truth in that, do you think?
Well, I hope so. I'll tell you in another 5 years.
I think I've been with Shilton now something like 7 years or more. And he's certainly helped my game. One of these days, I suppose he's going to finish or I'm going to go on, and I think I'm going to find it that little bit harder.
It was kind of a game that I think we were really looking forward to. I felt as though we were up for it. You know, we knew it was the semi-final, it was a big game, it was a great stadium, it was a great atmosphere, and yeah, we all seemed to be buzzing on that night.
And at what point as a goalie are you starting to think about penalties?
You don't really until the final whistle goes.
We were rooming together right throughout the tournament. We watched shootout after shootout. There were quite a few in that World Cup. And what we'd noticed was that at least 2 penalties, sometimes more, of every shootout was pretty close to the goalkeeper, whether they just hammer it straight down the middle or it's not a particularly good penalty. And if the keeper waits, you think, well, he's going to save 2 or 3. And we decided, or between it's obviously ultimately it's Peter Shilton's decision, to wait to see where they would hit it.
Here we go. It's in there again.
He goes the right way on every single penalty because he was waiting to see. But the Germans, being the Germans, everyone hit the stanchion. Everyone was in the corner.
Again, Shilton chose the right way, but sadly for England couldn't quite get a fingertip on it.
I mean, you would love to save one, but I mean, I did everything right. I only faced 4, but everyone, it was hit like a rocket. If he'd have gambled on which way, the chances are he probably still wouldn't have saved one because they were unbelievably high-quality penalties. But that's a true story. So I have to shoulder some blame for the fact that Germany scored every penalty. But then they always do anyway. I mean, Sturt more or less hit it at the keeper. He nearly went too early, and we missed the goal with Chrissy, you know. And to be fair, you know, there weren't 2 good penalties, and they hit 4 terrific penalties, and that was the difference.
And England, sadly are out.
Peter Shilton's final game for England, his 125th cap. What a career it's been.
Before I went to the World Cup, I decided no matter what happened, whether we won it or we got knocked out in the early stages, that I was definitely going to retire. I felt it was the right time to do it.
Finished with England with 125 caps, which obviously, as we sit here now, is very much still a record.
I had a pretty good England career, and I was proud of what I achieved. Would like to have got to the final in Italia 90. We gave it our best shot, so I was proud of that.
He is quite simply the best goalkeeper in the world and is still playing as brilliantly as ever for his club at the age of 41. Actually, it was quite staggering. I mean, during that whole World Cup, the whole of the country just ground to a halt. You had the most enormous reception.
We got back to Luton Airport and they'd arrange an open-top bus, and they said, well, come on, lads, you've got to get on this because there's a hotel about 2 or 3 miles down the road where all your family are going to be. We just want you to come out the airport, say, wave to a few fans, and it shouldn't be too much problem. I think it was about 2.5, 3 hours later we arrived at this hotel. And I was at the front of the coach. I mean, we had grandmothers jumping out in front of the coach going, well done, lads, well done. And the police grabbing hold of them and throwing them back in the crowd. I was going, you know, we've got hooligan grandmothers now. But no, I mean, they were tremendous. And we went through the centre of Luton and you could not see a space, you couldn't see a window, there wasn't a space on the roof, any lampposts, and people were just fanatical. It made you feel that you'd achieved something, and that was great. Something I'll always remember, yes.
I was starting to get involved in the gambling.
1 or 2 of the lads enjoy going to the races.
It became a bit of a nightmare.
I think it's about time I had a little bit of help from people at the club.
Here's Blue Stag.
And what's your feeling about the book that's being run here? Is it an honest and a fair one?
Absolutely. The crookedest bookmakers you've ever known. We used to get these race tapes of an old race meeting or somewhere in the world, 8 races, no one knew the results. And Pete Shilton and myself, we used to be the bookies. We used to call ourselves Honest Shilts and Links. We got a real sting on us one day. Fred, the then physio, allowed the boys in to watch race number 7. they knew exactly which horse was going to win.
Decent result for you.
It's nice to win against the goalie, isn't it, really? Take a bit of money off him.
Not a bad result for you, I would think.
Not a good one, Jim.
You went a bit ashen, I would have to say, in the final 50 yards when Steve and Peter were sort of celebrating there.
Yeah, I'd have been even more ashen if you hadn't laid a bit off, I tell you now, Jim.
When I was training hard and I was playing football, you know, a night at the Dogs or a day at the races was my way of unwinding, you know, and I got more and more into it, and it was always a passion, really.
One or two of the lads enjoy going to the races, and we always watch the programme on a Friday, and we always listen to Terry's tips. And well, actually, it's a good spur for us, really, because we know we've got to win on a Saturday because we keep betting Terry's tips, you see, so we've got to get...
You need the bonus money?
We need the bonus money, yeah.
I was very lucky. The first horse I bought won, and that got me even more involved. And the next one, I called it Hard to Catch. And then the next one was called Between the Sticks.
What about this weekend? Are you going to follow him this weekend or what?
Well, he's one of the best jockeys I ever saw, so as far as I'm concerned, I'll keep following. I'm a loyal person, so I've got great beliefs in him. I think it'll come good.
Thank you, and I think you're doing a bloody good job yourself.
Thanks, Terry.
At the same time, I was starting to invest in property. So I had quite a few horses and quite a few houses. And obviously, you know, I was starting to get involved in the gambling because that was my release. You know, I'd come home from training, I had a hard session. The last thing I wanted to do was, well, to do anything else, go out anywhere, because I just wanted to put my feet up, have some lunch and relax. And it's hard to kill time, you know, and it was, you know, I'm not making an excuse. It was so easy just to get the, it was the Sporting Life in those days. It's the Racing Post now, and have a few bets on the phone, and it was kind of a release.
He likes a bet. In fact, he used to kick me out of the room on in the afternoons during England gets-togethers occasionally, so he could have his little bet on the phone without me knowing too much about how much he was putting on.
Of course, you know, it gets, without realising it, gets more and more, and your passion gets more and more, and you get more and more involved in it. And of course, everything coming together, you know, creating me a massive problem with my finances. Yeah, I got myself in a bit of bother.
Peter Shilton, an elder statesman as a player who'd like a new challenge in management.
When the Plymouth job came up, I had a holiday home in Plymouth for 20 years, so I knew the area very well. I knew the potential down there. I've always enjoyed a challenge, always been very positive thinking, very ambitious. I believe that if the people get behind us, then the future can be bright. I didn't realise quite how difficult it would be to manage down there, being my first job.
Give yourself a bit of room, nice and easy, use your brains. We don't want anybody, you know, being silly.
People still come up to me and say it's the best football they've ever seen at Plymouth, and I was proud to be manager at Plymouth. In my second full season, we finished third in the league, high scorers in all four divisions. And then one of the directors who became the chairman, Mr. Macaulay, he got complete control, and it became a bit of a nightmare working under him. I think it's about time I had a little bit of help from people at the club in what has been a very difficult start to the season. There were obviously things going on in the background from my personal point of view. I think the money situation had caught up with me. My relationship with the chairman wasn't too good at the time, and he wanted me out.
The bridge between us is, you know, so wide. It's difficult to know where we go from here, really. And we came to a bit of a stalemate, and I left the club, and that was it. You know, I've got myself to blame a bit because all the financial things that had crept up. Of course, when I'd left Plymouth, I had to go and sort it out, really, by, you know, getting involved with a financial company. I had to do what's called an IVA because I'd got sort of properties that I couldn't afford to pay on. Most of my money had been taken up with horses and you know, with gambling. The property market had crashed, so I had to do this IVA, which you know, did. It's a bit. I had to eat humble pie, and you know, I didn't want to do it, but you know, I'd let myself down. Obviously, I need to keep onwards and upwards. I wanted to sort of get back into football, but I needed 4 games to get 1,000 league games, and I thought this could be a target, and I knew I could still play. I worked really hard, got myself fit. Ron Atkinson got me to Coventry. Didn't actually play in the first team, but I had a break when Bruce Rioch was trying to get promotion to the Premier League. So I went to Bolton for 3 months. I was 46 at the time, nearly 47. So I played 2 games there,
Went to West Ham under Harry. Had a lot of respect for Harry. Didn't quite make the first team. Played in the reserves a couple of times. Played with Rio Ferdinand, Frank Lampard and Jermaine Defoe. Not a bad reserve team, that. Waited as long as I could have done because Harry didn't actually put me in the first team, and went to Leyton Orient.
He's a tremendous professional. He's a credit to the game and obviously an inspiration to youngsters who want to find out how do you play professional football at 47. It's unbelievable.
The mad thing was, I watched him when I was 7 years old, week in, week out at Leicester. I ended up playing with him, rooming with him, spent an entire career with him, and I still watched him play long after I'd retired.
I think when we played at Darlington on a very heavy pitch one, I said to really, I think, I've had enough now. I didn't really want to carry on to the end of the season. And Barry was very good about it, actually. So that's when I sort of finished.
Having been in football since you could remember, it must have been a big thing to suddenly be out of it.
Well, it happens to a lot of footballers, I decided to go down a different path. And I sort of started doing speaking, after dinner and motivational, and started to really enjoy that. And I think I've been very lucky, actually, to have met my new partner, Steph. We've been together now for sort of nearly 3 years, and it's a very happy time for me at the moment.
We're both very private people, but right from the beginning, we opened up, and I know everything, about Pete. He's never held anything back, so he's a very honest man, even in his private life.
Go have the oysters. Go have the oysters. West Mersey, terrific place. We love it, don't we? We've been down here now for nearly 18 months. Lovely. Thank you very much. I had 5 years at Southampton, and I love living near the coast. It's great now. I'm in the area that we are actually living right next to the sea. My favourite meal. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the excitement of, getting involved in football, going to Wembley, watching England, being involved with the FA. Wherever you go in this country, even the best stadium we've got, you always see that sign, keep off the grass. Wherever you go, and it's the groundsmen have one in every stadium in the country. And normally you run out a tunnel and you fall over it the first thing you do because they hate you going on the pitch. Amazing, even at Wembley.
I remember the first evening, him telling me that he'd got over 100 cups. I thought he said cups. So I've automatically thought, well, a footballer will have gold cups. So obviously the first visit I had to his house, I asked where his 100-odd cups, gold cups were, expecting this big billiard room with cups. And he said, no, Steph, they're caps. They're caps.
As she doesn't know anything about football, I'd just like my partner Steph to take her on the hallowed turf of Wembley. Come on, quickly before the groundsman gets us off the pitch. Come on. How about that? There you are. You're on Wembley. What about that, eh?
We have a wonderful relationship, and it's just an honour to be a part of this man's life, albeit a small part, but have been a part of it. I was lucky enough to get the MBE and OBE. Went to the Palace, the Queen presented both of them, so that was obviously a big honour. Recently I got a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Leicester Mercury Sports Awards.
And my goodness, how did Shilton get that one?
He'll be proud of what he's done. Getting the record number of caps, that's fantastic.
His 125th cap, what a career it's been.
I've never played with anybody, any time in my whole career that was more driven and wanted to win more than Peter Shilton.
I worked very hard to achieve what I wanted, but I didn't think it made me any different to anybody else.
What a monumental save by Peter Shilton.
I've always been young at heart. I've always enjoyed a laugh. I've always been one of the boys. That's the way I've always been. Maybe that's one of the reasons I did some of the crazy things I did, always young at heart.
You're always remembered for certain things in football and in life. If you get knocked down, make sure you're the first one up.
Looking forward to the future now. I'm happy in life. Everywhere I go, the public seem to like me. It's very nice from my point of view, and I'm very grateful and very honoured.
Mr. Peter Shilton.
Cyclist Chris Froome gets the Sports Life Stories treatment next Tuesday night at 10, while next tonight here on ITV4, Scotland face New Zealand in the IC